So as a contractor, the thing that we hate the most in life is water. Now I know water is the necessity of life for us to live, but as far as the structure is concerned, we do not want water in here at all. Now we've already shown a video, and if you haven't seen this video, click in the upper right hand corner of how we're keeping water out of the sheathing and also out of all the cracks into the house. Well, the next most important thing we have to worry about is the foundation. Now most foundations are not done correctly. Most of the water leaks that come into foundations are because of improper gutters or lack of waterproofing. Now in this case, we have a little bit of everything in place. We've got waterproofing on the foundation. We also put this drainage board in front of the foundation. And again, we'll trim this back off once we have the final grade. The biggest mistake that I see contractors make, or a lot of times where I see water coming into crawl spaces or basements, especially on existing houses, is because of improper gutters. Now all the gutters in this house are going to be collected and basically stored. The water is going to be stored in the back side of the house. Now if you haven't seen that video, that one's in the upper right hand corner as well. We're going to put a cistern in the back of the house. Well, if you don't have a cistern, you want to make sure that all the water is basically collected and diverted away from the house, because you don't want water sitting next to the foundation. So in addition to dealing with gutters coming off the house, you also want to make sure that there's a proper grade. So the code is for the first 10 feet, when it dropped down 6 inches, that means we've got a slope of water, groundwater, away from the house. Now groundwater is usually what gets into the house and through all the cracks in the foundation. So step one, collect all the water, get it away from the house with gutters. Step two, make sure that you've got all the slope drained away from the house, and also make sure, and the most importantly, after all that, make sure you've got a good foundation waterproofing system. You really need all three in place. One, to make sure that you're building your house to code or remodeling to code, but also to make sure that you keep your crawl space, your basement dry, and that way you don't have mold issues and other issues inside your house. Now this is the waterproofing that you can see from right here. We basically have the waterproofing on the actual concrete itself. We've got the drain board, but what you can't see here is we basically have a foundation drain at the very bottom of the footing. Now this foundation drain goes all the way to the foundation of the house and daylights at the back of the house. Now the reason for the foundation drain is, like, for any water that builds up around this foundation, you've got this void, and the void collects all the water. That way it's not sitting on the foundation, and it basically slowly drains away from the house. Now hopefully that foundation drain doesn't have to do a lot of work. If you have good gutters, if you have good slope away from the house, the foundation drain shouldn't see a lot of water. It's there just in case it makes past all these other barriers. Now I've got a surprise for you. Typically, these are basically run about 2 to 3 feet away from the house. Sometimes, if you're looking at a green building program like Earthcraft, we run these about 5 feet away from the house. Well, in this case, we're going to run all of these into one central location. And if you want to see exactly what we do with this, we're going to be able to use all this water. We're not going to have to pay the city of Atlanta for anything for irrigation, all because we're installing this one important thing. Click on the next video to see what it's all about.